PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Hey, talking a little bit about Rav4. Let's finish up what we talked about Rav4 last week. Again, have not had a chance to drive the vehicle, but I get excited because we're ramping up sales nationally with Rav4. Rav4 is becoming our premier seller, and we couldn't be starting a new production line of Ravs at any better time. The sell down for the 2018 Rav is going to be mind-numbing. Toyota's going to throw a little juice in there. We got a new one coming out. I mean, this is going to ramp up to be a great close of this year with the Rav4. The new body design, the vehicle's a little bit shorter because we're using the global platform, but it's going to be a longer wheelbase and a wider wheelbase, which is going to give us more room on the inside. So even though we'll make the vehicle just a tad bit shorter, inside the vehicle is going to be cavernous. Toyota is so phenomenal about manufacturing space. You guys know I traveled around the United States, and if I get late into an airport and go to a rental car company, the Toyotas are usually gone by noon every day. So I'll get into a Volkswagen or a Nissan. Every once in a while I'll drive a Ford. And it's funny to me how just the nuances of the way they try to make things fit in there, because they kind of utilize space in a different way. The floorboards bump up. There's no smooth. You can. It's just not. It's not Toyota-like. I guess that's the best overall term. That should be a term, Toyota-like. 2.5 liter engine. So we produced 176 horsepower with the last engine, 176, and they're talking about a little bit more horsepower. And I don't know. I mean, I'd love to be able to guess. Gosh, it'd be awesome if they could push that thing up close to 200. But it's probably going to be, 176-ish to 180 in that area. So I'll tweet it out as soon as I find out. The 8-speed transmission, giant. So we go from a 6-speed to an 8-speed. Of course, on the hybrid, you got a CVT. But the 8-speed transmission, a little bit more horsepower. So you'll be able to crunch those lower gears with a little bit more torque out of them, because you'll have a shorter span through all 8 gears, so the performance off the line should be better. And also, there's a new deal called torque vectoring on the all-wheel drive. So I'm going to guess, and I'm going to make a real educated guess. Torque vectoring meaning that they've really been able to harness the ability to move that power around the Rav4 from front-wheel drive to all-wheel drive as we do that variable drive, as I've done in my past videos, and we're not losing some of that torque in the transfer. So every single time they change a transaxle or change something, the utilization of the active torque is unbelievable. Back in the day when I first started driving cars, you could have a car with a tremendous amount of horsepower, but it just really didn't get it to the ground. If they had the efficiencies of today's, who knows how fast those cars would have outdrove the body. I mean, they probably would have snapped themselves in half. I mean, that's how amazing Toyota's making this power transfer. Multi-Train Select. So we've got the Multi-Train Select built into the vehicle. That's going to make it, if I go down to the beach in Daytona, take a week down there, drive out on the sand, I've got no problem. Along with the torque vectoring and the all-wheel drive, they've got a new deal called rear axle disconnect. Well, we've always basically had that. When all 4 wheels were turning at the same speed, power would go to the front wheels and eliminating the ability to have to add torque to the rear axle, and that's going to give us better gas mileage. But now they've made this even more efficient. It's a total disconnect of the rear axle. Again, as I said earlier on in a video a few years ago, Subaru claims that their all-wheel drive, their symmetrical all-wheel drive, is the end-all of every drive system out there. And it's a great drive system. There's nothing wrong with their drive system. But if I'm driving down a dry highway, straight down a highway, I'm in the state of Kansas or Nebraska, and I'm just driving straight for hours, what purpose would I need to be adding power to the rear axle and burning more fuel? So this becomes a vehicle that is very capable and also going to be as fuel efficient as it possibly can. For our entertainment system, Intune 3.0, so you guys get ready for that. Intune 3.0 will be on the Rav4, and Amazon Alexa connectivity. So as we start to merge into all of this, I mean, I guess you leave your house and you go, Alexa, turn the lights off. Oh, and by the way, Alexa, will you start my car? So in the next few years, it's going to be amazing what we control by being voice activated in our vehicles. Again, the RAV4 is on my hit list. I can't wait till somebody says, hey KC, come drive this thing. And as soon as I do, I'll give you some videos. Even if they're not supposed to be out there, I'll give you some videos behind the wheel. Very, very excited about the end of this year. Both sell down of the 18 and launching of the 19. It is going to be a tremendous car year. Super excited about all the new product. You guys plug into the auto shows. Go back and look at New York Auto Show. Now, they revealed the RAV there, so there'll be photos out there, and you can see some photos. When you're looking in the magazines, it's 2 or 3 photos. They'll have a whole series of photos highlighted in the auto show. And you got Chicago Auto Show. You can go back and look at the Detroit Auto Show. These major auto shows have a little bit of something different in each one. Make sure you're plugging in and Google those so you can look at what Toyota's launching. And while you're on the site, look at your #1 competitor in your market and see what they're launching and what they're talking about. And compare the two. Be aware of what's going on in the market so you can do a better job for your client. KC Nix, PK52, the Saturday Morning Meeting.